uh, Taskdefs in Apache Ant. Here we also consider tasks. Um, Taskdefs add the task definition to the current project such that this new task can be used in the current project. This task is a form of type def with the attributes adapter and adapt to set to the values org.apache.tools.ant.taskadapter and org.apache.tools.ant.task respectively. Now we are considering the life cycle of a task. The method executing the task here and the setter for the main, message attribute. Here the step 1, the XML element that contains the tag corresponding to the task get converted to an unknown element at pass time. This unknown element gets placed in a list within a target object or recursively within another unknown element. The step 2, when the target is executed, each unknown element is invoked using the perform method. This instantiates the task. This means that task only gets instantiated at runtime. Step 3, the task get references to its project and location inside the build file via its inherited project and location variables. If step 4, if the user specified an ID attribute to this task, the project registers a reference to this newly created task at runtime. Step 5, the task gets a reference to the target it belongs to via its inherited target variable. Step 6, init method is called at runtime. Step 7, all child elements of the XML element corresponding to this task are created via this element's create xxx method or instantiated and added to this task via its add xxx methods at runtime. Child elements corresponding to add configured xxx are created then at this point, but the actual add configured method is not called. Step 8, all attributes of this task get set via its corresponding set xxx methods at runtime. Step 9, the content character data sections inside the XML element corresponding to this task is added to the task via its add text method at runtime. Step 10, all attributes of child elements get set via its set via their corresponding set xxx methods at runtime. If child element, step 11, if child elements of the XML element corresponding to this task have been created for add configured XXX methods, those methods get invoked now. Step 12, the execute method is called at runtime. If target 1 and target 2 both depends on target 3, then running and target 1 target 2 will run all tasks in target 3 twice. We can consider this example here. Make a task called my Java doc available to Apache Ant. The class com.mydomain.java.task implements the tasks here. As an example 2, we can consider package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdefs. Here you can consider we can consider task as an example 3. We can consider taskdef here. Add a task definition to the current project such that this new task can be used in the current project. We can, as an error example, we can consider this taskdef class dec 10 2012 my ant task cannot be found using the class loader and class loader. One problem here is that the ant class loader needs to know where the .class file sits. Here we are now we are considering other miscellaneous components. Here you can see some other tasks, and there are archive tasks including G unship, B unzip 2 / unxz, G zip / bship 2 / xz, cab, EAR, JAR, JLink, manifest, RPM, sign jar, tar, anja, anta, unwa, unzip, wa, unzip. And there's audit and coverage task, JDepend, and there are compile tasks which we will consider later. This includes depend, javac, jspc, net, rexxc, rmic, wljspc, as a deployment task, server deploy, documentation task, Java doc, EJB task, and execution task, ant and call, apply /exec on, depend set, exec, Java, parallel, SQL, sleep, subant, wait for. And there are file tasks, attrib, checksum, chgroup, chmod, chown, concat, copy dir, copy file, delete, del tree, filter, fix, clrf, get, mkdir, move, patch, rename extensions, replace reg expression, set permissions, sync temp file and touch. There are Java extension tasks, jalib available, jalib display, jalib manifest, jalib dash resolve. And there are logging tasks, record. There are mail tasks, mail, my mail. There are miscellaneous tasks including default, exclude, echo, fail, gen key, host info, input, script, sound, splash, SQL, Taskdef, tstamp, typedef, XML validate. And here these log tasks include record, logging task, and there are preprocessed tasks, antlr, structure, import, include, java cc, java h, jjdoc, jjtree, macrodef, native to ASCII, preset def, translate, slt. There are property tasks available, base name, build number, condition, dir name, echo properties, load file, load properties, make URL, path convert, property file, up to date, which resource, XML property. And there are remote tasks including FTP, REXEC, SCP, set proxy, SSH, exec, telnet. There are SCM tasks, CVS, changelog, CVS pass, CVS tagdiff, clear case, continuous /synergy, Microsoft Visual Source Safe, PVCF, source offsite. There are testing tasks, JUnit and JUnit report. And here you can see a different way of looking at some tasks. Here you can see Java and EAR and JUnit and network related and FTP, source control, logs and compile and mail. As an example, we consider archive tasks. Here you can see an example of archive task jar. Here we want to create multi-release jar file according to the specification GEP238. It defines Here you can see a special MF entry according to the specification, and here directory structure according to the spec, default classes loaded by old lesser versions of Java 9. And here pre-release classes require Java 9 plus for loadable via standard class loader. Here you can see jar. It sets its jar's set of files. Here dest file attributes it's the jar file to create. Here this manifest, you can see manifest attribute, the manifest file to use. This can be either location of a manifest or the name of a jar added through a file set. If it's a name of an added jar, the task expect the manifest to be in the jar at meta-inf/manifest.mf. As an example too, we can consider this example. Here now we write a simple tasks. Hello world task, and then create a text file hello world.jar in the src directory with this code. Then we can compile and jar it with Ant. Default target is jar, and via its depends attribute the compile is executed. But after creating the jar, we want to use our new task. Therefore we need a new target use. Before we can use our new task, we have to declare it with Taskdefs, and for easier process we change the default attribute. Here the important is the class path attribute, and searches in its /lib directory for task, and our task isn't there, so we have to provide the right location. Now we can type in Ant, and all must work here, and this is a sample code anyway, sample script here. You can see the output here after execution, and this is a segment of the script. Now we are considering tasks using properties, file sets, and path. So what to do? Handling three attributes: property, value, and print, and an execute method. Because this is only an introduction example, I don't do much checking. The class task, base class for all tasks, use project.createTask to create a new task instance rather than using this class directly for construction. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant. With regarding the built environment, you can see the built file here. The other use.asterisk targets are deleted. Our first step is to set a property to a value and print the value of the property. So our scenario would be like this. Okay, it can be rewritten with core tasks. So what to do? Handling three attributes. Property, value, print, and an execute method. Because this is only an introduction example, I don't do much checking. The property access is done via project instance. We get this instance via the public get project method, which we inherit from tasks, more precisely from project component. Reading a property is done via get property name. Very simple, isn't it? This property returns a value as string or null if it is not set. Setting property is not really difficult, but there is more than one setter. You can use set property method, which will do the job as expected. But there is a golden rule in Ant: properties are immutable, and this method sets the property to the specific value. Whether it has the value before that or not. So we can use another way. Set new property. Actually, the set property method we are referring is something else, not this one. Now we are considering the set new property. Set new property set the property only if there is no property with that name. Otherwise, a message is logged. By the way, a short explanation of Ant's namespaces, not to be confused with XML namespaces. And Ant call creates a new space for property names. All properties from the caller are passed to the callee, but the callee can set their own properties without notice by the caller. There are some other setters too, but I haven't used them, so I can't say something to them. Sorry. After putting our two-line example from here into the target names use.simple, we can call that from our test case. Setter for value and print. and this is same as this. And this now we are considering Apache Ant EJB tasks and EJB jar in EJB tasks. Using this format, we'll create EJB jars. We'll create a EJB jar file for each variation of asterisk dash EJB dash dot EJB dash jar dot XML that is found in the deployment descriptor directory. The task EJB jar. This task is designed to support building of EJB jar files, EJB 1.1 and 2.0. Support is currently provided for vanilla EJB jar files, that is those containing only the user-generated class files and the standard deployment descriptor. Nested elements provide support for vendor-specific deployment tools. With regarding API, the class EJB jar extend the matching task class provided in the default Ant distribution to provide the directory scanning EJB jar file generator. This in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdef.optional.ejb. In this example shows EJB jar being used to generate deployment jars using WebLogic EJB container. This example requires the naming standard to be used for the deployment descriptors. Using this format, we'll create a EJB jar file for each variation of asterisk dash EJB dash jar.xml that is found in the deployment descriptor directory. Now we are considering Ant in execution tasks. There are different ways of using the tasks. The task Ant runs Apache Ant on a supplied build file. This can be used to build sub-projects. This task must not be used outside of the target if it invokes the same build file it is part of. In API, class Ant built a sub-project. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdefs. There are different ways of using the tasks. Now we are considering attrib in file tasks. Here, make the run.bat file read-only and hidden. The task attrib changes the attributes of a file or all files inside the specified directory, specified directories. Right now it has effect only under Windows. Each of 4 possible permissions has its own attribute matching the argument for attributes commands. With regarding API, the class attrib equivalent for Win32 environments. Note, attrib parameters /s/d are not handled. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdef.optional.windows. Now we are considering Jalip available in Java extension tasks. Here the search for the extension in a single file. The task jalip-available check whether an extension is present in a file set or an extension set. If the extension is present, then the property is set true. With regarding API, class jalib available tasks check whether an extension is present in a file set or an extension set. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdef.optional.extension. Now we are considering record in logging tasks. The following build.xml snippet is an example of how to use recorder to record just the Java-C tasks. The task record. A recorder is a listener to the current build process that records the output to a file. With regarding API, the class recorder adds a listener to the current build process that records the output to a file. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs. Now we are considering mail in mail tasks. Here, send an email from me to you with the subject of results of nightly build and include the contents of the file build.log in the body of the message. The task mail, a task to send SMTP email with regarding API class mailer, base class for the various emailing implementation. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs.email. Now we are considering default excludes in miscellaneous tasks. Here print out the default excludes. The task default excludes alters the default excludes for all subsequent processing in the build and print out the current default exclude if desired. With regarding API, class default excludes alters the default excludes for the entire build. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs. Now we are considering NTLR in preprocessed tasks. Here invoke NTLR on a grammar file etc/java.g, writing the generated files to build/src. The task ANTLR invokes the ANTLR translator generator on a grammar file. With regarding API, class ANTLR invokes the ANTLR translator on a grammar file. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdef.optional. Now we are considering available in property tasks. Here sets the myClass.present property to the value true if the class org.whatever.myClass is found in the Ant class path. Task available sets a property if a resource is available at runtime. This resource can be a file, a directory, a class in a class path, or a JVM system resource. With regarding API, the class available will set the given property if the requested resource is available at runtime. This task may also be used as a condition by the condition task. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs. Now we are considering FTP in remote tasks. Here login to the ftp.apache.org as anonymous and upload all the files in the htdocs/manual directory to the default directory for that user. With regarding API, the task FTP. Here the task FTP. The FTP task implements the basic FTP client that can send, receive, list, delete files, and create directories. With regarding API, class FTP tasks, basic FTP client performs the following actions: send file to a remote server. This is the default action. Get, retrieve files from a remote server. Del, delete files from remote server. List, create a file listing. chmod, change Unix file permissions. rmdir, remove directories if empty from a remote server. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdef.optional. optional.net. Here the getting files from an FTP server works pretty much the same way as sending them does. The only difference is that the nested file sets use remote directory remote dir attribute as the base directory for the files on the FTP server. The dir and the dir attribute as the local directory to put the files into. The file structure from the FTP site is preserved on the local machine. Here log into ftp.apache.org as anonymous and recursively download all .html files from the default directory for that user into the htdocs/manual directory on the local machine. Now we are focusing on CVS in CSM tasks. Check out the package /module Ant from CVS repository pointed by the CVS root attribute and store the files in here the $open curly brace ws.dir close curly brace. Task CVS handles package /modules retrieved from the CVS repository. With regarding API, class CVS performs operation on CVS repository original 1.20 node. This implementation has been moved to abstract CVS tasks with the addition of some accessors for extensibility. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs. Here update the package /module that has been previously checked out into ws.dir here. Here silently -q create a file called patch.txt containing a unified -u diff which includes new files added via cvs add -n and can be used as input to patch. The equivalent using command line element is here. Or here. Now we are considering JUnit in testing tasks. Here no output will be generated unless test fails. The task JUnit, this task runs test from JUnit testing frameworks. The latest version of the framework can be found at https://javunit.org. This task has been tested with JUnit 3.0 up to JUnit 3.8.2. It won't work with versions prior to JUnit 3.0. It also works with JUnit 4.x, including pure JUnit 4 test using only annotations and JUnit and no JUnit 4 test adapter. Class with regarding API, class JUnit task runs JUnit test. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdefs.optional.junit. Here they run the test defined in my.test.test case in the same VM. No output will be generated unless the test fails. With regarding we are considering JUnit. We are now considering library dependencies. Here we are considering JUnit.jar. JUnit tasks may be in class path passed to task rather than Ant's class path. This is needed for JUnit tasks, and this is available at https://javunit.org/. Now we are considering archive tasks. Tasks gunzip, bunzip, and unxz expand a resource packed using gzip, bzip2 or xz. Here the expand test.tar.gz to test.tar. Here the expand test.tar.bz2 to test.tar. Here expand test.tar.xz to test.tar. Here expand test.tar.gz to test2.tar. Here expand test.tar.gz to subdir/test.tar. Assuming subdir is a directory. Here download https://example.org/archive.tar.gz and expand it to archive.tar in the project base dir on the fly. Here the gunzip class in the API, the gunzip class gunzip expand the file that has been compressed with the gzip algorithm normally used to compress non-compressed archives such as tar files. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdefs. Here the following is identical to this section. The same is also true for bunzip2 and bzip2 resource or unxz and xz resource. Copy offers additional features like filtering files on the fly, allowing a file to be mapped to multiple destinations, preserving the last modified time or configurable file system timestamp granularity. Now we are considering audit coverage tasks. JDepend. The class path in JDepend on audit coverage tasks. Class path is defined using a reference. The tasks JDepend invokes the JDepend parser. In the API class JDepend tasks, JDepend is a tool to generate design quality metrics for each Java package. It has been initially created by Mike Clark. JDepend can be found at https://github.com/clarkware/JDepend. The current implementation spawned a new Java VM. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs.optional.jdepend. Here invoke JDepend on the build directory, writing the output on the standard output. The class path is defined using a reference. Now we are considering Apache Ant server deploy in deployment tasks. This example shows the use of generic deploy element to deploy a component using a Java-based deployment tool. The task server deploy. The server deploy task is used to run a hot deployment tool for vendor specific J2EE server. The task requires nested elements which define the attributes of the vendor specific deployment tool being executed. Vendor specific deployment tools elements may enforce rules for which attributes are required depending on the tool. With regarding API, the class server deploy control hot deployment tool for J2EE servers. This class is used as a framework for the creation of vendor specific hot deployment tools. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs.optional.j2ee. Now we are considering Javadoc or Javadoc 2 in documentation tasks. The task Javadoc or Javadoc 2 generates code documentations using Javadoc tool. Duplication. The Javadoc 2 task simply points to the Javadoc task, and it's there for backward compatibility reasons. Since this task will be removed in future versions, you are strongly encouraged to use Javadoc instead. With regarding API, class Javadoc generate class Javadoc. generates a Java documentation for a collection of source code. This is the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs. This is same as this one. Or this one. Now we are considering EJP char in Apache Ant, EJP task in EJP tasks. Using this format here, we'll create a EJP char file for each variation of *-ejp-char.xml that is found in the deployment script directory. The task EJP char. This task is designed to support building EJP jar files, EJP 1.1 and 2.0. Support is currently provided for vanilla EJP jar files, that is those containing only the user-generated class files and the standard deployment descriptor. Nested Elements provide support for vendor-specific deployment tools. These currently include Bolland Application Server 4.5, iPlanet Application Server 6.0, JBoss 2.1 and above, WebLogic 5.1, 6.0 session, entity beans using WebLogic.ejbc tool, IBM WebSphere 4.0, TopLink for WebLogic 2.5.1 enabled entity beans, JONS 2.4.x and 2.5 open source EJP server, Ironflare Orion Application Server 2.0. The task works as a directory scanning task and performs an action for each deployment descriptor found. As such, the includes and excludes should be set to ensure that all desired EJP descriptors are found. For each descriptor found, EJP jar will pass the deployment descriptor to determine necessary class files which implements the bean. These files are assembled along with the deployment descriptor into well-formed EJP jar file. Any support files which need to be included in the generator jar can be added with the support nested element. For each class found in the EJB in the jar, EJB jar will scan for any superclass or super interfaces. This will be added to the generator jar. This example shows EJB jar being used to generate deployment jars using WebLogic EJB container. This example requires the naming standard to be used for deployment descriptors. Using this format, we'll create EJB jar file for each variation of asterisk dash EJB dash jar.xml that is found in the deployment descriptor directory. With regarding API, the class EJB jar extend the matching task class provided in the default Ant distribution to provide a directory scanning EJB jar file generator. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdefs.optional.ejb. Now we are considering Ant in execution tasks. These are different ways of using the tasks. Task Ant runs Apache Ant on a supplied build file. This can be used to build subprojects. This task must not be used outside of a target if it invokes the same build file it is part of. The class Ant built a subproject. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdefs. Now we are considering attrib in file tasks. Here, make the run.bat file read only and hidden. The task attrib changes the attributes of a file or all files inside specific directories. Right now, it has effect only under Windows. Each of the 4 possible permissions has its own attribute matching arguments for attrib commands. With regarding API, class attrib equivalent for Win32 environments. Not attrib parameters /s and /d are not handled. This in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdef.optional.windows. Now we are considering jarlib-available in Java extension tasks. Here, search for an extension in a single file. The task jarlib-available check whether an extension is present in a file set or an extension set. If the extension is present, then a property is set. With regarding API, the class jarlib-available tasks check whether an extension is present in a file set or an extension set. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdef.optional.extension. Now we are considering a record in logging tasks. The following build.xml snippet is an example of how to use recorder to record just the Java C tasks. The tasks record. A recorder is a listener to a current build process that records the output to a file. With regarding API, class recorder adds a listener to the current build process that records the output to a file. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs. Now we are considering mail in mail tasks. Send an email from me to you with the subject of results of nightly build and include contents of the file build.log in the body of the message. Task mail, a task to send SMTP email. With regarding API, class mailer, base class for the various emailing implementations. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs.email. Now we are considering default excludes in miscellaneous tasks. Print out the default excludes. The task default excludes, alter the default excludes for all subsequent processing in the build and print out the current default exclude if desired. Class default exclude, with regarding API, class default excludes, alter the default excludes for the entire build. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs. Now we are considering ANTLR in preprocess tasks. Here invoke ANTLR on grammar file etc/java.g, writing the generated output, writing the generated files to build/src. The task ANTLR invokes the ANTLR translator generator on grammar file. With regarding API, the class ANTLR invokes the ANTLR translator generator on a grammar file. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs.optional. Now we are considering available in property tasks. Here set the myClass.present property to the value true if the class org.whatever.myClass is found in the Ant class path. Task available sets a property if a resource is available at runtime. This resource can be file, a directory, a class in the class path, or a JVM system resource. With regarding API, class available will set the given property if the requested resource is available at runtime. This task may also be used as a condition by the condition task. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs. Now we are considering FTP in remote tasks. Here log into ftp.apache.org as anonymous and upload all files in the htdocs/manual directory to the default directory for that user. The task FTP, the FTP tasks implement basic FTP client that can send, receive, list, delete file and create directories. With regarding API, class FTP tasks, basic FTP client performs the following actions: send file to a remote server. This is the default action. Get, retrieve files from a remote server. Delete files from a remote server. List, create a file listing. chmod, change Unix file permissions. rmdir, remove directories if empty from a remote server. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs.optional.net. Here you can consider getting files from FTP server. works pretty much the same way as sending them does. Only difference is that the nested file sets use remote dir attribute as the base directory for the files on the FTP server, and the dir attributes as the local directory to put the files into. The file structure from the FTP site is preserved on the local machine. Here log into the ftp.apache.org as anonymous and recursively download all .html files from the default directory for that user into the htdocs/manual directory on the local machine. Now we are considering CVS in CSM tasks. Here check out the package, check out the package /module and from the CVS repository pointed out by the CVS root. Root attributes and store the files in here ws.dir. Here the task CVS handles packages /modules retrieved from the CVS repository. With regarding API, the class CVS performs operations on a CVS repository. Original 1.2 note. This implementation has been moved to abstract CVS tasks with the addition of some accessors for extensibility. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs. Here update the package /module that has previously been checked out into WSDIR. Here silently -q create a file called patch.txt containing unified -u diffs which includes new files added via CVS add-n and can be used as output to can be used at input to patch. The equivalent using command line element is here. Or here. Here the task, here we are considering JUnit in testing task. Here no output will be generated unless the test fails. Task JUnit, this task runs test from the JUnit testing framework. The latest version of the framework can be found at https://junit.org. This task has been tested with JUnit 3.0 up to JUnit 3.8.2. It won't work with versions prior to JUnit 3.0. It also works with JUnit 4.x, including pure JUnit 4 test using only annotations and no JUnit 4 test adapter. With regarding here and with regarding API class JUnit tasks runs JUnit test, and this is in package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs.optional.junit. Here runs the test defined in my.test case in the same VM. No output will be generated unless the test fails. Now we are considering junit.jar in library dependencies. This is needed for JUnit task, maybe on class paths passed to task rather than Ant's class path, and this is available at https://junit.org/. As an error example, we can consider this: unable to locate tools.jar, expected to find it in C: program files /java /jre6/lib/tools.jar. Build file build.xml does not exist. Build failed. Now we are focusing on compilers. These are compile tasks. As an example, we can consider this: compile all .java files under the implied directory by src here, and store the .class files in the implied directory by build here, and class path used includes xyz.jar, and compiling with debug information is on. The source level is 1.4, so you can use assert statements here. Here the javac compiler compiles a Java source tree. Here you can see src dir attribute, location of the Java files. Here you can see dest dir attribute, location to store the class files. Here you can see class path attribute, the class path to use. Here you can see debug attributes, indicates whether source should be compiled with debug information. If set to off, -g :none will be passed on the command line for compilers that support it. For other compilers, no command line argument will be used. If set to true, the value of the debug level attribute determines the command line argument. Here you can see source attribute, Java language features accepted by compiler as specified by -source command line switch. Valid feature versions are 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 or 5, etc. The attribute will be ignored by all implementation prior to javac 1.4 or modern, when Ant is not running in JVM 1.3, GCJ and JIX. If you use this attribute together with GCJ or JIX, you must make sure that your version supports this -source or -fsource for GCJ switch. As an example too, we can consider this. If you want to run a javac compiler of a different JDK, you should tell Ant where to find the compiler and which version of JDK you will be using, so it can choose the correct command line switches. The above in this example, it executes JDK 1.1 Java C in a new process and uses the correct command line switches even when Ant is running in a JVM of a different versions. Here you can see fork attribute, whether to execute JavaC using JDK compiler externally. Here you can see executable attribute, complete path to the JavaC executable to use in case of fork is yes. Since Ant 1.1, 1.6, this attribute can also be used to specify the path to execute to the executable when using JIX, JVC, JCJ or SJ. Here you can see compiler attribute, the compiler implementation to use. As an example 3, we can consider this. Here WL JSPC compiler, class to precompile JSPs using WebLogic JSP compiler, weblogic.jspc. This is tested only on WebLogic 4.5.1 and NT 4.0 and Solaris 7 and 8. Here you can see a source attribute, root of source tree for JSP, that is the document root for your WebLogic server. And here you can see dest attribute, root of destination directory, which you have set as working dir in the WebLogic properties. And here you can see package attribute, start package name under which your JSP would be compiled. Here you can see class path to use when compiling JSPs. Now we are focusing on depend in compile tasks. In this example, the depend tasks caches its dependency information in the dep cache directory. The task depend, a task to manage Java class file dependencies. With regarding API, the class depend generates a dependency file for a given set of classes. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdef.optional.depend. Here remove any classes in the build.classes directory that depends on out of date classes. Classes are considered out of date with respect to the source in the here the $ open curly brace java.dir close curly brace directory using the same mechanism as the Java C tasks. In this example, the depend task caches its dependency information in the dep cache directory. Now we are considering Java C. The source level is 1.4, so you can use assert statements. Task Java C compiles a Java source tree. With regarding API, class Java C compiles Java source files. This task can take following argument: source dir, dest dir, deprecation class path, boot class path, xdirs, optimize, debug, encoding, target, depend, verbose, fail on error, include Ant runtime, include Java runtime, source, compiler, release. Of these arguments, the source dir and dest dir are required. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdefs. Here compile all .java files under the src directory, and store the .class files in the here dir in the build directory. $sign open curly brace build close curly brace directory. The class path use indicate xyz.jar, and compiling with debug information is on. The source level is 1.4, so you can use assert statements. Now we are considering JSPC. Here built all JSP files under /src/var into the destination /gen src in a package hierarchy beginning with com.i3sp.jsp. The task JSPC is deprecated. If you use this task with Tomcat's Jasper JSP compiler, you should seriously consider using the task shipping with Tomcat instead. This task is only tested against Tomcat 4.x. There are known problems with Tomcat 5.x that won't get fixed in Ant. Please use Tomcat's JSPC task instead. Instead of relying on container specific JSP compilers, we suggest deploying raw files *.jsp and use the container built-in functions. After deploying, run a test suite, for example with Cactus or HTTP unit, against the deployed web application. So you will get the test result and compile JSPs. This task basically Apache Ant task to run JSP compiler and turn JSP pages into Java source files. With regarding API, class JSPC turns a JSP runs a JSP compiler. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdef.optional.jsp. Now we are considering netrex C. Task netrex C compiles the netrex source tree within the running Apache Ant JVM. With regarding API, class netrex C compiles netrex source files. This task can take the following argument: binary, class path, comments, compile, console, crossref, decimal, dest, dir, diag, explicit, format, keep, logo, replace, save log, src dir, source dir, strict args, strict assign, strict case, strict import, symbols, time, trace, UTF-8, verbose, suppress method argument not used, suppress private property not used, suppress variable not used, suppressed exception not signaled, suppress deprecation, remove keep extension of these argument. The src dir argument is required. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdefs.optional. Now we are considering RMIC. here runs the RMIC compiler for the class com.xyz.foobar. The compiled files will be stored in the directory $ open curly brace build close curly brace / classes / classes directory. The task RMIC runs the RMIC compiler for a certain class. With regarding API, the interface RMIC adapter, the interface that all RMIC adapters must adhere to. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs.rmic. Now we are considering WL-JSPC. Task WL-JSPC class to precompile JSPCs using WebLogic JSP compiler. WebLogic JSPC. With regarding API, the class WL-JSPC precompiles JSPs using WebLogic's JSP compiler, WebLogic.jspc, tested only on WebLogic 4.5.1, NT 4.0 and Solaris 5.7 required attributes, src root of the source tree for JSP, that is the document root for your WebLogic server, dest, the root of the destination directory, what you have set as working dir in the WebLogic properties package, in the WebLogic properties package, start package name under which your JSP would be compiled, other attributes, class path. A class path should be set which contain WebLogic classes as well as application classes referenced by the JSP. The system class path is also append when the JSP C is called, so you may choose to put everything in the class path while calling Ant. However, since presumably the JSPs will reference classes being built by Ant, it would be better to explicitly add the class path in the task. The task checks timestamps on the JSPs and generated classes and compiles only those files that have changed. It follows the WebLogic naming convention of putting classes in _dir name / file name.class for dir name / file name.jsp limitation. It compiles the files through the classic compile only limitation, since it's is my this is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs.optional.jsp. As an error example, we can consider this error, fail on error. This is an attribute which indicates whether compilation errors will fail the build in Java C task. Here, as an error example 2, we can consider this error occurred in Java C task. Compile failed. Build.xml 77 compile failed. See the compiler error output for details at there are number of source files here. Types. Apache Ant provides a rich set of types. As an example, we can consider this one here. Now this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for watching it.